Welcome to Clear Play. I'm your host, Tony Anderson, and today we're getting you ready for the 2022 NFL Draft, which starts this Thursday in Las Vegas. First, we get up to the second analysis from NFL expert Paul Myerberg, and later we have NFL legend DeMarcus Ware for some positional expertise on this year's draft class. So Paul, it is NFL Draft Week. Are you excited, and is Vegas ready for this?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, this is the time of year when you actually think that your team knows what they're doing. You can delude yourself for a couple weeks. And I think Vegas can handle this, right? I mean, they have it's like the fourth biggest thing happening in Vegas on Thursday. I think Las Vegas is going to be fine. Even if a bunch of Packers fans come in or Eagles fans and drink the town dry, I think they'll be okay.
So, Paul, who are some players who have their stock rising in the draft right now?
I'll give you one guy from Southern California whose final year was cut short due to injury, but before he got hurt was just dominant. That's Drake London, a wide receiver. NFL game, I mean, it's about speed, yeah, but if you can separate and then also kind of elevate and take the ball away from corners, that's going to make you an elite wide receiver. He showed that in college. Most contested catches of any receiver last year in college, despite having a shortened year. So I think NFL teams love his size, love the fact that he's physical, love the fact he can get into the end zone. So he might not be the first receiver taken off the board, but I think a team that gets him in 10 to 15 range is going to be really, really happy.
Now, on the flip side of that coin, give me a player whose stock, and there could be players whose stock is dropping.
Well, one guy is Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh, and we'll talk about quarterbacks, I think, later on, but Kenny Pickett throughout the year kind of exploded onto the scene, was a Heisman Trophy contender, set school records, broke Dan Marino's records at Pitt, if that means something. But you're seeing right now through the draft process that he's not looked at anymore as a top 5 guy or even a franchise guy, at least as an immediate starter. He has potential to develop into a really nice quarterback and has a pretty high floor as it is based on his skill set. But as quarterbacks kind of have dropped as a whole, Pickett encapsulates that or embodies it. You're not seeing him anymore listed in the top 10. He probably is a first-round talent. It'd be interesting to see where he lands in the first round on Thursday night.
Now, we speak about quarterbacks. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a championship, period. Who are some of the quarterbacks who are the top guys in this draft?
Matt Corral out of Ole Miss is another. He played under Lane Kiffin with the Rebels, had a really productive final year. Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati, a 4-year starter, put himself on the map just like Cincinnati did in making the playoff this past season. But to me, the clear number one guy in this group is based off his potential is Malik Willis out of Liberty. There are questions about him, and I think a lot of them have to do with the fact that he played in a system under Hugh Freeze at Liberty that is really QB friendly, maybe is not that much under center, so there are questions about his ability to hit the ground running as a rookie. And I think those are valid, but if you look 2, 3, 4 years down the line, let's say you're the Steelers and you love Willis and you want to trade up and get him, he's a guy I think can become a face of a franchise if you give him time in the right system.
So, Paul, we're going to get into some rapid fire. We want to know who is going first in these particular positions. Pass catchers, who you got?
Drake London is an option. I think Garrett Wilson goes first among wideouts. The kid from Ohio State, complete package. Doesn't really look the part of a dominant like Randy Moss, 6'5", go up and get it kind of dude, but he's a 1,000-yard receiver for sure.
Now, this isn't the sexy pick, but if you don't have an offensive line, as the Bengals found out, you have nothing. Who you got number one at O-line?
A lot of options here, a lot of guys who don't necessarily fit the mold of a Orlando Pace or Jonathan Ogden franchise guy on the blind side, but I would go with Evan Neal out of Alabama. Safety matters, and Evan Neal, from everyone who has covered him and people who project him right now, look at him as a 10-year starter at either tackle spot. You're the Jaguars' number one potentially. You know you can settle that spot for a decade. I think Evan Neal would be your pick.
Okay, now on the defensive side of the ball, cornerback, who you got going number one?
I like Ahmad Gardner a lot. Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU is unbelievably talented, but has injury issues, doesn't have as much tape as Gardner from Cincinnati. Sauce Gardner's a top 5, top 8 pick. Just put him on an island. I mean, even when you saw in the playoff, they played Alabama. Alabama didn't throw like Sauce Gardner. That tells you something. So he's an all-pro, I think, in a couple of years.
Thanks so much, Paul. Dropping gems per usual. Now, a guy who terrorized my Eagles, Cowboys legend DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus, how are you, brother?
Hey, doing good, man.
Draft night is almost here. I mean, you were drafted 11th overall by the Cowboys. Talk to me about going from a small school in Troy to America's team and what you remember most about draft night.
You know, it's one of those things where I see a lot of the guys that are small-time guys that they measured up right now, in the combine and, with the big top players, but they always look at, okay, when he played at Abilene Christian or he played in Troy, I don't think that guy is going to be able to match up. No, they just thinking that they're not going to match up to the stardom of what they think a player should be like. So for me, I was in the hotel conference center. It was about 50 of my family members, and I got that call from the Dallas Cowboys from little old Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, and it was cool to see all my family there and get to experience that, right? But the crazy thing is when I got to the Dallas Cowboys, I knew about the Dallas Cowboys, but I didn't know how big the star and what it actually meant for the NFL. We had one guy named Famous Amos with a tape recorder down there in Troy, in the locker room. And when you see 40 cameras every single day, I was like, dude, is this real? Just pinching myself every day, trying to figure out how do I fit in with this, right? And, at the end of the day, it was, I remember Larry Allen, he was like, just be yourself, man. And that's all you need to do and just get out there and play. And that's what I tell a lot of these other players that are getting drafted now.
DeMarcus, is there any one player that you see that's an edge rusher that really stands out? And the second part of that is, what does it take to be a great edge rusher going from college to the pros?
You know what? I still think about Kayvon Thibodeau for some reason. He reminds me of myself. He's a bigger guy than I was, but still fast, still very athletic. And for him to transition into the NFL, I think it will be easy because really down to earth. I can see the moves he already have. He already got, some stuff in his toolbox already to make him successful. And those younger guys that are coming in right now, they're different. They're getting the same teachings as us at a young age.
So you have this great partnership with Sleep Number. Talk to me about what made you want to get involved with this great partnership.
I'm all about changing lives. And after 4 back surgeries, 51 injuries, to be honest with you, this bed, it really changed my life.
Okay, there it goes. Thank you so much, Mr. Ware. I appreciate you.
All right, thank y'all so much.
Well, that is our episode from Clear Play today. I'm Tony Anderson signing off. Thanks to all of our special guests. And I am super excited for this year's draft. Make sure you go to Typico and lock in your draft bets right now.